was, I apologize, you'll probably remember who it was, where you talked about the Chandler-Conor McGregor fight, and you're like, that's old news. Chandler comes out and says he's going to keep optimism about it. You, to be completely transparent at this point, as much as you want to be at least, how empty slate is that card? Or do you already have in your head what you're hoping to happen, and then you just kind of got to make it happen? Like, where are you in the development of the card? Because I know that's a massive ordeal for all parties.
So my entire focus right now is on the launch this weekend. I got boxing on Friday, the UFC on Saturday. Sunday, I'm watching the Patriots go to the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah.
And then Monday, we're all in on the White House fight. We don't have anything laid out. Nothing. It'll all start Monday.
Okay. All right.
And no disrespect to Chandler. We love Chandler. Chandler's one of the... You don't have enough time in your show for me to talk to you about how awesome Chandler is. And you know how I feel about Conor and everything that he's done for the sport and this company. But yeah, that's not the fight we're going for.
He said it, live on air. The words hit like a brutal knockout. Conor McGregor, the biggest name in combat sports, might not even be under contract with the UFC. Forget fight negotiations. Forget opponents. Chael Sonnen just revealed a bombshell that changes everything. This isn't just about a potential White House fight. It's about the very future of the notorious one with the organization he helped build. The silence that followed was deafening, leaving the entire MMA world questioning everything they thought they knew about McGregor's highly anticipated return. The layers of uncertainty are more complex than anyone imagined.
Well, we're going to figure that all out this week. But when you look at, this is like a one-of-one event. It's something that will never happen again. And we building this card, we have this video rendering of what it looks like. We literally have the trees that are in the, the south lawn. We'll know exactly where the sun is until it sets. So all the logistics are done. And now it's time we believe that this is going to be the most watched UFC event ever.
I mean, you've had UFC 200, 300, 100, the Sphere. To say that this card is going to top all of those, be bigger, more important, those are some big words right there. Do you believe this could be the type of event that almost kickstarts, maybe similar to what happened coming out of COVID, that maybe kickstarts a new era of fandom for this sport?
Adding to the chaos, Dana White recently shot down the long-anticipated clash between McGregor and Michael Chandler. Despite months of hype, White unequivocally stated, "That's not the fight we're going." This direct dismissal came after persistent speculation, leaving fans bewildered about the intended opponent for McGregor's comeback. It's a clear signal that the UFC has a different vision for their megastar, one that doesn't involve the man he coached against on The Ultimate Fighter. The narrative took an immediate pivot, forcing everyone to reconsider the entire landscape of this monumental event. What other plans are secretly brewing?
To it that have never seen it before. And when you talk about like me, my executive team, the staff that works here, the media that covers us, and the fighters, this is going to be the most unique, amazing, night of our entire careers. So, the fighters are walking from the Oval Office, and I bet a lot of the people that cover the sport and are fans of the sport probably never even been to the White House before, and obviously the fighters. So this is a really special one-of-one night. And when we go to do something, I like to deliver, and I like to deliver big. So we are, it's going to be special. And now this
Exciting
week,
times.
yeah, actually, fly in he lives in Texas, so he's coming in, and we're going to have him here for a few days, and we're going to start hammering out this card.
Dana White, however, is laser-focused on the White House event itself, touting it as a one-of-one spectacle, destined to be unique in UFC history. He emphasized its unparalleled significance, eclipsing even landmark cards like UFC 200 or 300. This isn't just another show, it's an opportunity to place the sport on a stage never before conceived. The location alone, a symbol of national power and prestige, elevates it beyond typical combat sports events. Dana's vision for this card is monumental, aiming for an unforgettable experience that transcends mere competition. Such ambition always comes with unforeseen challenges.
Now, I'm not predicting that for you. When we do talk about the White House, and we've got every level of crazy at play here. We've got Conor McGregor returning. We've got Conor McGregor returning for a title fight. We've got Conor McGregor returning in a weight class that doesn't yet exists. We've got Conor McGregor returning. The only problem is he needs a call from Ari Emanuel. We got Conor McGregor returning. The only problem is Conor McGregor is not under contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Like, everything about this has gotten weird. We got John Jones versus Piera. Biggest fight in the history of humanity. John Jones needs a hip replacement. John Jones is going to play flag football as opposed to fight at the White House. Like, we're in this spot. We're in like this Wild West in terms of predictions. And I do think that Ilia Topuria versus Islam is the biggest fight that we could make for the most part. There's a broad stroke on that, right? Jones versus Pierre. If we're just having fun, fights that we could make. Jones versus Aspinall. Pierre versus Aspinall. Like, if we've got this...
The logistics for this unprecedented event are already meticulously planned, almost down to the precise angle of the sun. Dana shared details about video renderings illustrating the south lawn, mapping out exactly where the sun will be until it sets, and even incorporating the real trees in the landscape. This level of detail suggests a massive undertaking, far beyond a typical arena setup. It highlights the immense planning required to host a combat sports event at such a sensitive and historic location. Every element is being considered to ensure a flawless, visually stunning spectacle, but even the best plans can hit unexpected snags.
Magic wand, but in the scope of being realistic, I do not think that you're going to get Islam versus Ilia at 155, and more importantly, if Ilia and Islam do fight, when that day comes, I think it should be at 170, because a big piece of the story is champ status, and the only way you preserve that opportunity is for Ilia to go up. Islam also came out early on, before he had fought with Jack, captured the 170-pound title. And he said, I'm going to do both. I'm going to grab the belt at 70. I'm going to come right back to 55. I'm going to fight at both. As soon as he made 170 and he felt what that was like to have the same experience without the torture of pulling off those extra 15 pounds, he came out and said, no, I'm never going back. I believe him. That sounds right. But Chandler appeared to not know. He appears to be very open. And one mistake that I have made a number of times in the sport is to think that the athletes know, but they're keeping a secret. Well, Chandler knows what's going on. Chandler knows whether he's fighting Conor. But Chandler and Conor are going to preserve this and reveal it to the media when they're ready. Time after time, that just turns out to not be the case. The guys just genuinely don't know.
White didn't shy away from bold predictions, asserting that this White House fight will be the most watched UFC event ever. This statement, coming from the man who presided over UFC 100, 200, 300, and the Sphere debut, carries immense weight. It implies a global reach and an audience far beyond traditional MMA fans. Dana believes this card will surpass all previous benchmarks, setting a new standard for viewership and cultural impact. Such confidence hints at a strategy designed to captivate the world, even if the specifics remain shrouded in mystery. The stakes for this historic claim couldn't be higher.
It's about to get really interesting with Conor McGregor in the UFC. It's about to get really interesting, and it's starting to feel like pandemic 2020 vibes. And what I mean by that is, do you remember there was a time, I remember Amanda Nunes fought Felicia Spencer, and I remember he was going off on Twitter. He was talking about, F this, I'm going to retire, all this stuff. And I remember he called me, and I wrote a whole article for ESPN.com. He retired in 2020 because they wouldn't give him a fight. And they wouldn't give him a fight until they could have some kind of attendance. And that attendance came 2021 in Abu Dhabi, January of 2021 against Dustin Poirier, if you remember. They didn't want to have him at the Apex in front of no one. And so I remind you, when that White House card comes around, June 14th, there will be no pay-per-view. There will be no gate. And what I'm hearing is there's going to be no sponsors as well. So it's going to be it's going to be gigantic as far as brand awareness and whatnot. But as far as sponsors on the cage, it's not going to be like that because White House and you know, it gets a little tricky with that.
Beyond just viewership, Dana views the White House event as a catalyst for a new era of fandom, potentially similar to the sport's resurgence post-COVID. He anticipates it will introduce the UFC to a vast new audience, sparking unprecedented interest. Moreover, for the fighters, it represents an unparalleled legacy opportunity. Many have never even visited the White House, let alone competed there. This experience isn't just a fight, it's a chance to etch their names into history, making the event itself a profound part of their personal and professional journey. The impact on individual careers could be immense.
One person whose comments on all of this fighter pay stuff that I care about, and that's Conor McGregor. Well, there's two people. There's Dana White and there's Conor McGregor. And the reason I care about Conor McGregor's thoughts on this is because he's the only one with leverage. When he talks about on a Roblox stream, my contract is null and void, he's the only one with the ability to go, no, you actually do need to pay me a different amount because I'm the only one who actually sells pay-per-views. Pay-per-views were down bad last year. I can't imagine there were many champions who were making a ton of money by selling pay-per-views. The UFC obviously wasn't making a ton of money by selling pay-per-views, and this pivoted away from that model. And so there's nobody out there who's really going to be too hard done if all of a sudden the UFC is like, we're moving away from pay-per-view. There's going to be some extra money, and not ask about it ever again, right? Volk was on talking to you, and he kind of didn't know what's going on, but is Volk really going to be the one to rock the boat and do it? There's only one person who stands to benefit in a major way from pay-per-views in 2026 or previously in 2025, and that's Conor McGregor.
Chael Sonnen, ever the analyst, described the entire McGregor situation as every level of crazy, warning against any definitive predictions. He emphasized that the various narratives surrounding McGregor's return are far from set in stone, with each version dependent on other, uncertain elements. This isn't a straightforward comeback story. It's a chaotic tangle of possibilities, making it dangerous for anyone to confidently forecast the outcome. The sheer number of moving parts and unresolved issues creates an unprecedented level of unpredictability. In this wild west of speculation, few things are as they seem. Putting someone on a card.
So when Conor McGregor comes out and says, I need to renegotiate my deal because this is now null and void, that's the only one that's going to have any waves, ripples, anything. There is a realistic scenario where when it comes to the White House, Conor McGregor is the one that says no, right? We're acting like it's just going to be the Dana White's going to be like, do I trust Conor McGregor? What if they come to Conor McGregor with a number that's not sufficiently offset because this pay-per-view is not in place anymore, and he says, take a hike. I'm not fighting for that. I never fought for that. I stand to make so much more money than that, and you're trying to... And we're also in a scenario where the UFC might not need Conor McGregor as much as they used to, which is an even more fascinating thing, right? Because pay-per-view doesn't exist, do you necessarily need somebody like Conor McGregor as much as you needed him when you needed...
Michael Sonnen illustrated this complexity with a barrage of hypothetical scenarios. McGregor returning for a title fight in a weight class that doesn't exist, needing a call from Ari Emanuel, or most shockingly, not even being under contract with the UFC. Each possibility throws a wrench into conventional expectations, highlighting the immense hurdles in play. The notion of the biggest draw not having a current deal is a game changer, casting doubt on the entire premise of his return. It suggests a deep-seated contractual issue that could derail any White House aspirations. The silence from McGregor's camp is deafening. Further complicating matters, Chael pointed out a common misconception that fighters inherently know more than the public, merely keeping secrets. He confessed to falling into this trap, explaining that often athletes learn about their own future through headlines, just like fans. This insight is crucial for the McGregor situation, implying that even close associates like Michael Chandler might genuinely be in the dark. It underscores the lack of concrete progress, suggesting that the talk about Conor is far less advanced than many believe, making accurate predictions almost impossible. The athletes are often as much in the dark as we are. Another intriguing development involves Islam Makhachev's surprising stance on weight classes. Initially, he expressed a strong desire to challenge for the 170-pound title, aiming for champ status. However, after experiencing the 170-pound division, he made a stark declaration: I'm never going back to 155. This pivot, after previously stating he'd easily fight at both, reveals the harsh realities of weight cutting and performance. It shows how even the most ambitious plans can change once a fighter experiences the physical demands firsthand, adding another layer of complexity to potential super fights. Ariel Helwani drew a concerning parallel between McGregor's current situation and the pandemic 2020 vibes, where Conor threatened retirement over unfavorable fight terms. Back then, McGregor wanted to fight but was benched due to the lack of an audience, a critical component for his pay-per-view appeal. This historical context suggests that McGregor is accustomed to holding out for optimal conditions. It implies that his participation in the White House card will hinge entirely on the financial terms aligning with his expectations, creating a potential standoff reminiscent of past disputes. History often repeats itself in fight negotiations. The financial structure of the White House card presents a significant hurdle for McGregor. Helwani revealed that there will be no pay-per-view element, no gate revenue, and likely no major sponsors on the cage. While this offers immense brand exposure for the UFC, it fundamentally alters McGregor's primary income stream, which is tied to PPV points. The absence of these traditional revenue drivers means a potentially drastically different payday for the sport's biggest draw. This shift challenges McGregor's historical business model, creating a fascinating conflict over compensation. Will exposure be enough for the notorious one? Pedisi's Carroll highlighted McGregor's unique leverage in these negotiations. Unlike other fighters, Conor generates unparalleled attention, giving him the power to demand different terms, especially as the UFC's business model evolves away from pay-per-view. Carroll argued that McGregor is the only one who can truly challenge the UFC on compensation, given his proven ability to sell PPVs when they were the primary revenue driver. This leverage positions him to push back or even outright refuse an offer if it doesn't meet his redefined financial expectations in this new landscape. His voice is the one that truly counts. This unique leverage creates a realistic scenario where McGregor himself could say no to the White House card. Carroll pointed out that fans often assume Dana White holds all the cards, but if the UFC presents a number that doesn't adequately offset the lack of PPV revenue, Conor could simply walk away. He's never fought for less than what he believes he's worth, and this event's unique financial model could be the breaking point. It's a powerful reminder that while the UFC wants him, they might not control him entirely. The ball is firmly in McGregor's court. Compounding this, Carroll posed a provocative question. Does the UFC even need Conor McGregor as much as they once did? With the pivot away from a pay-per-view-centric model, the organization's reliance on a single PPV king might have diminished. This is an even more fascinating development, suggesting a potential shift in power dynamics. If McGregor's primary value was his PPV drawing power and that model is changing, his negotiating position, though still strong, might be viewed differently by the promotion. The landscape is changing for everyone, even the biggest stars. With Chandler seemingly out of the picture, Michael Bisping weighed in on the scarcity of alternative options, suggesting a return to the idea of Jorge Masvidal as McGregor's opponent. Bisping agreed that if McGregor fights on the White House card, it requires a big, marketable, well-known name. Masvidal, he argued, fits this bill perfectly, more so than almost any other available fighter. The White House event, Bisping believes, prioritizes show over credentials, making Masvidal's celebrity and history an ideal match. The search for a spectacle match narrows the field considerably. Bisping further elaborated on Masvidal's suitability, highlighting his storied history, instantly memorable moments, and a personality tailor-made for a massive stage. Jorge brings a proven track record of generating excitement and thriving in high-attention environments, making him a perfect fit for a show-over-credentials event like the White House card. His game-bred persona and reputation for explosive fights would undoubtedly capture public interest. It's about drawing eyeballs and creating a memorable spectacle, and Masvidal consistently delivers on both fronts. The choice feels strategic, not just competitive. Amidst all the swirling speculation, Michael Chandler himself broke his silence, emphasizing that his time facing McGregor on The Ultimate Fighter is not a closed chapter. He spoke of the animosity that simmered from the beginning and never found resolution inside the octagon. For Chandler, this isn't just another fight, it's the culmination of a deeply personal rivalry that needs a definitive end. His persistence signals a strong desire to finally settle the score, regardless of what Dana White or the contract situation suggests. The rivalry for him still burns bright. Chandler also offered insight into McGregor's recent mentality, touching on the pressures of fame and the need for re-evaluation. He believes McGregor is on a positive trajectory, poised to return to competition with renewed purpose. This perspective suggests a belief in McGregor's genuine transformation, hinting that the notorious one is preparing not just for a fight, but for a meaningful comeback on the biggest possible stage. Chandler sees a focused McGregor ready to reclaim his legacy, and he wants to be the one to test that renewed resolve. A new chapter could be dawning for Conor. So where do things truly stand? The picture remains frustratingly opaque. No opponent is confirmed, no fight is signed, and the White House card, for all its grand pronouncements, is still wide open. Despite the constant chatter from experts, analysts, and fellow fighters, official announcements are conspicuously absent. This vacuum of concrete information fuels relentless speculation, creating a narrative built more on whispers and possibilities than signed contracts. The fight world waits with bated breath, but the true path forward remains hidden behind layers of negotiation and uncertainty. Yet, amid this swirling vortex of rumors and conflicting reports, one thing remains undeniably clear: Conor McGregor isn't waiting. He's in the gym, putting in the grueling work, sparring and training like the moment is imminent. This consistent, visible dedication from the man himself sends a powerful message. It signifies his unwavering intent to compete, regardless of who, when, or where. While everyone else debates the specifics, McGregor is physically preparing for battle, reinforcing his commitment to a return to the octagon. His actions speak louder than any pundit's words. This relentless preparation underscores that despite the unprecedented logistical challenges, the contractual ambiguities, and the financial hurdles, McGregor is driven by an internal fire. Whether it's the transformative experience of ayahuasca, a renewed focus, or simply the hunger to compete, he is acting as if a fight is a certainty. Until the UFC makes an official announcement, every theory, every opponent suggestion, every financial model remains pure speculation. But McGregor's sweat and dedication are concrete, signaling his readiness for whatever challenge awaits. The only certainty is his commitment to the grind. The saga of Conor McGregor and the White House fight is a masterclass in controlled chaos, a high-stakes drama unfolding in real time. It's a testament to McGregor's enduring star power that even without a contract, an opponent, or confirmed terms, he dominates the conversation. This event, whether it features him or not, symbolizes the UFC's audacious ambition and McGregor's personal journey of transformation and leverage. As the pieces slowly fall into place, the true legacy of this potential moment and McGregor's final act will be defined by how these intricate, conflicting narratives ultimately collide. The world is watching.